Book nibbles. Big ideas, small bites. Spencer Johnson's Who Moved My Cheese is deceptively simple, a slim parable presented as a story within a story, but its power lies in the way it distills some of life's most challenging realities: change, loss, adaptation, and renewal into characters and imagery that anyone can recognize. The book begins by drawing the reader into a framed story, where a group of old classmates gathers at a reunion. They exchange pleasantries, reflect on how their lives have changed since school, and admit to one another the struggles they've encountered in careers, family, and personal pursuits. Beneath the smiles and polite conversation, there's a shared recognition that life has been less predictable than they imagined when they were younger. Jobs have been lost, companies have folded, marriages have ended, and health has faltered. Some of them have navigated these shifts with surprising resilience, while others confess that they felt blindsided and defeated by the changes. It's in this setting that one of the classmates, Michael, offers to share a story that helped him cope with upheaval in his own life. He introduces a parable he once heard, one he now tells often because of the clarity and guidance it gave him. The others lean in, curious, and so the main tale unfolds. In this parable, there exists a maze. The maze is not explained in detail. It is not made of concrete walls or steel corridors, but rather it stands as a metaphorical space, a place of endless pathways and corners, some leading to nourishment and others to dead ends. Within this maze live four characters: two mice named Sniff and Scurry, and two little people, tiny human-like beings about the size of the mice, named Hem and Haw. Though all four live in the same maze and face the same challenges, their ways of perceiving the world, making decisions, and responding to change are very different. Johnson uses these figures to represent the spectrum of responses humans can have when confronted with shifts in their environment. Each of the four characters is motivated by one central pursuit: cheese. Cheese, in the parable, is not just literal food, but a metaphor for whatever it is we humans chase in our lives. For some, the cheese may be career success, wealth, or recognition. For others, it could be love, family, health, peace of mind, or spiritual fulfillment. Whatever its form, cheese symbolizes the rewards we seek. The maze represents the environment where we pursue these rewards: our workplace, our family structure, our community, the society we live in. Within this maze, all four characters spend their days searching for cheese. Sniff and Scurry, the two mice, operate largely on instinct. Their approach is straightforward and uncomplicated. They wake up each day, put on their little running shoes, and dart through the corridors of the maze, sniffing the air for the scent of cheese and scurrying quickly toward it when they catch a trace. They don't overthink, they don't analyze excessively, and they don't get bogged down in emotion. They rely on trial and error, persistence, and adaptability. When they find cheese, they enjoy it. When it's gone, they don't waste time lamenting, but instead return to the maze to look for more. Hem and Haw, on the other hand, represent the more complex, reflective side of human nature. They too search for cheese, but they do so with expectations, beliefs, and emotional attachments. They often analyze situations, make assumptions, and carry with them fears and hopes. This allows them moments of satisfaction when things go as planned, but it also leaves them vulnerable to shock and denial when things change. Hem and Haw want not only to find cheese, but also to feel secure in the idea that once they have found it, it will always be there for them. As the story unfolds, all four discover a particularly large and promising stash of cheese at a location in the maze known as Cheese Station C. It is a bounty unlike any they've encountered before. The cheese is abundant, tasty, and satisfying. The four are overjoyed. Sniff and Scurry, grateful but cautious, keep their running shoes tied around their necks, ready for action. They continue to inspect the station regularly, measuring the supply, noticing small changes in the amount, and keeping alert to the possibility that one day it may diminish. Hem and Haw, however, are delighted in a different way. They settle into comfort, even complacency. They decorate the walls around Cheese Station C with sayings, hang up pictures, and begin to feel as though they've earned this treasure. Ha writes on the wall, "Having cheese makes you happy," while Hem comes to believe he deserves this cheese, that it is a reward for all their effort and that it will always remain. The two little people grow fat and lazy, showing up each day expecting the cheese to be waiting for them. They stop noticing the small signs that the supply is dwindling. Inevitably, the day comes when the cheese at Station C is gone. The stash has been exhausted, and nothing remains. Sniff and Scurry, arriving early as they always do, are not shocked. They had sensed the diminishing supply, and when they find the station empty, they do not fall apart. They simply lace up their shoes and head back into the maze in search of new cheese. They are saddened, perhaps, but not devastated. They accept the reality that things change and that survival depends on moving forward. Hem and Ha, by contrast, are crushed. They arrive later, complacent as usual, and are stunned to find the cheese gone. Hem, especially, is furious. He feels wronged, as though someone deliberately moved their cheese. He demands to know who is responsible, railing against the unfairness of it all. Ha, though equally disappointed, is less rigid. He senses that perhaps they should adapt. But Hem resists. He refuses to leave Cheese Station C, convinced that if they wait long enough, the cheese will return. Days pass. Sniff and Scurry are out exploring, getting lost at times, hitting dead ends, but continuing to press forward, sniffing and scurrying through the maze until eventually they discover a new supply of cheese at another station, Cheese Station Inn, even larger and fresher than before. Their persistence and adaptability pay off. Hem and Ha, meanwhile, remain in their empty station, growing weaker and more miserable by the day. Ha tries to encourage Hem to come with him into the maze to look for new cheese, but Hem refuses. He insists it is too dangerous out there, too uncertain. He argues that it's safer to wait where they are, even if they are starving, because at least here they are familiar with their surroundings. Fear of the unknown holds him back, and he clings to his sense of entitlement and resentment. Ha wrestles with his own fear. He is hesitant at first, imagining how difficult it would be to find new cheese after all this time, worrying that he might get lost or fail. But eventually, the pain of staying in a place without cheese becomes greater than the fear of venturing out. He realizes that holding on to old illusions is more dangerous than taking a chance on change. Ha finally decides to act. He puts on his running shoes, steps out into the maze, and begins to explore. At first, the maze feels threatening, the corridors daunting. He stumbles, grows weary, and often feels tempted to turn back to the empty station. But each time, he reminds himself that nothing new will come from clinging to what no longer exists. Along the way, Ha begins to write messages on the walls of the maze, simple sayings to remind himself of the lessons he is learning and to guide anyone who might come after him, perhaps even him if he ever chooses to leave. These writings become some of the most memorable lines of the book, the distilled wisdom Johnson wants the reader to take away. Phrases like, "If you do not change, you can become extinct. What would you do if you weren't afraid?" And "Movement in a new direction helps you find new cheese" serve as reminders of the truth that life is change and that survival requires flexibility. As Ha continues through the maze, he notices his fear diminishing. With each step forward, he gains a bit more confidence, a bit more courage. He even begins to enjoy the journey, laughing at himself for how long he waited in denial. He recalls the times he wasted hoping things would return to how they used to be, realizing now that life only moves forward. He experiments, takes risks, explores new paths. Sometimes he finds little bits of cheese along the way, snippets of encouragement that sustain him. And sometimes he finds nothing, but he keeps going. The more he adapts, the more he recognizes that his mindset shapes his reality. He understands that fear was the biggest obstacle all along, not the absence of cheese. By daring to move, he finds hope. Eventually, his persistence pays off. Ha stumbles upon Cheese Station Inn, where he finds Sniff and Scurry happily enjoying their new discovery. The station is filled with more cheese than any of them had ever seen before, fresh and abundant. Ha rejoices, not only because he has found cheese again, but because he has learned how to handle change with resilience and courage. He has learned that the sooner you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can find new cheese. Even as he enjoys the new cheese, Ha reflects on the lessons. He hopes Hem will find the courage to leave Station C and join them someday. But he knows Hem must make that choice himself. Hem represents the part of us that resists change, that clings to old ways and familiar comforts even when they no longer serve us. Ha realizes he cannot change Hem, but he can set an example, leave messages, and hope. The book leaves Hem's fate uncertain, an open reminder that each of us must decide whether we will stay stuck or move forward. Returning to the frame story of the classmates, Michael finishes the parable and invites discussion. His friends, at first amused by the simplicity of the story with mice and little people, soon begin to reflect deeply. They see themselves in the characters, some admitting they have been like Hem, stubborn and resistant, others relating to Ha, learning to embrace change reluctantly, still others striving to be like Sniff and Scurry, quick to adapt and move on. They begin to share examples from their own lives. Careers disrupted by technology, businesses transformed by shifting markets, relationships that changed unexpectedly. The story gives them a language to describe their experiences and a framework to think about change differently. They laugh at the humor, but they also feel the sting of recognition. The power of Johnson's tale is in its simplicity. By using cheese as a metaphor and placing his characters in a maze, he strips away the complexities of real life to show the raw essence of adaptation. The cheese stands for whatever matters most to us, the maze for the unpredictable environment we live in, and the characters for the parts of ourselves that react in different ways. Sniff and Scurry remind us to stay alert, simplify, and act quickly when change happens. Hem warns us of the dangers of denial and entitlement. Ha models the difficult but rewarding path of overcoming fear and moving forward. The lessons are practical. Johnson emphasizes that change is inevitable. Whether we welcome it or not, the cheese will be moved. Jobs will end, industries will shift, relationships will alter, health will decline, opportunities will rise and fall. To survive and thrive, we must anticipate change, monitor it, adapt quickly, and enjoy the process. Hanging on to what is gone only prolongs suffering. Acting in spite of fear opens the door to discovery. Small steps forward build confidence and make the unknown less threatening. Writing the lessons on the wall, so to speak, reminding ourselves of truths we've learned, helps us not to forget them when fear returns. In practical terms, readers have applied these lessons to countless situations. Businesses have used the parable to encourage employees to embrace reorganization or technological change. Individuals have applied it to personal transitions like moving cities, losing a job, ending a relationship, or facing retirement. Parents have used it to teach children resilience, and educators have used it to help students face academic challenges. The book's brevity and clarity make it accessible, while its depth ensures that the lessons stick. The enduring appeal of Who Moved My Cheese lies in its balance of storytelling and wisdom. It does not lecture, it illustrates. It does not complicate, it simplifies. And in doing so, it reminds us of truths we already know but often forget when fear and loss cloud our judgment. The cheese will always be moved, sooner or later. The question is whether we will remain at the empty station, blaming the unfairness of life, or whether we will tie our shoes and venture into the maze in search of new cheese. And that's it. Spencer Johnson's Who Moved My Cheese. Thanks for listening to Book Nibbles. If you enjoyed this bite-sized book, don't forget to subscribe for more quick, insightful summaries. See you in the next nibble.